Hello and welcome to another episode of Complete Rider Motorcycle Review. In this episode we take a look at Honda's 1987 NSR500, the World 500cc Championship winning bike of Aussie Wayne Gardner. This bike hails from a different era of motorcycle racing where two-strokes ruled the tracks. Just the sound of these high-revving beasts was a joy to hear, and the smell of burnt two-stroke fuel makes me salivate like Pavlov's dog. Watching these rare breed of racers try and tame these insanely powerful motorcycles was a lesson in how to be a man, and they quickly sorted the men from the boys. And although I can't ride it, not that I'd have the balls to anyway, we can piece together enough historical footage to give you a feel of what it had been like to ride at the time, and then I'll give it a review. What's a review, I hear you say? Well, we'll rev up the tacho and give it a completely 100% biased and unscientific score, sorta like this. The year is 1987 and the fashion was bad. Big hair, big shoulder pads, stonewashed jeans, fluoro bikinis, pastel suits and the mullet. I actually like the mullet, but there's always someone that takes it too far. The late 80s was a time when there was plenty of fag money around in motorsport. Budgets were high and life was good. 1987 was the year that a tough Aussie showed the world how to ride these wild machines by dominating the World 500cc Motorcycle Championship. The 1987 Honda NSR500 in the hands of Wayne Gardner won 7 of the 15 races, scored 3 second places, 2 thirds and 2 fourths, and finished in the points at every round. Out of the 15 races, it won 10 pole positions and achieved 8 of the fastest race laps. Absolute dominance. This hand-built prototype race bike had evolved over the years and would go on to rule the tracks for many years to come. Its 4-cylinder, 494cc two-stroke V4 water-cooled engine produces somewhere around 160 horsepower. The bike has a wet weight of about 130 kilograms or 287 pounds. Its 6-speed gearbox and dry clutch propelled it to over 300 kilometers an hour or 190 miles per hour. For 1987, Honda widened its V4 angle from a 90 degrees V angle to 112 degrees, which allowed them to place the 4 Keihin 36mm carburetors inside the engine's V, facing forward to gulp in that fresh air. It was about this time that Honda started playing with their automatic torque amplification chamber system, which is basically a power valve to regulate the two-stroke's narrow power band. Honda also introduced a reverse spinning crankshaft to take advantage of gyroscopic effect, and it's still being used in MotoGP bikes today. It runs a 4x4 exhaust with exotic expansion chambers that really are a work of art. All this sits in an extremely modern for its time extruded alloy frame with a very basic swing arm setup. These bikes are like light switches to ride, they're either on or off, and all the riders regularly got spat off them hard, but they all got back on again. Tough men. Wayne Gardner himself sums it up best when he said, "The mid to late 80s was a difficult time to be racing motorcycles. The chassis wasn't very good, but there was a lot of power. The power came in at 9,700 RPM, where you got 50 horsepower. Rise another 100 RPM and you'd have 150 horsepower. It really was aggressive, and the top speed was incredible. There was a lot of development done. The engine was so fast, but it took the chassis a long time to catch up." End quote. No electrics like traction control, launch control to help. Tyres had just started to come out of the dark ages, but were nowhere near what they're like today. Your right wrist was all that stood between a good lap time and more pain than you could ever imagine, with minimal protection from the state-of-the-art riding gear and track safety conditions of the time. Tough men indeed. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Every sub helps, so does hitting the like button. Let's have a look at some race footage of this weapon of a bike and its tough Aussie rider. And what better way to do it than with a 1980s Australian beer ad. Terrible beer, but it was great to see motorcycles in the mainstream media.
They said you'd never make it, you're just a larrikin kid. Wayne Gardner, get a proper job and settle down instead. They said you'd never make it when you took on all the rest. What chance does an Aussie stand of beating the world's best? They said you'd never make it, but you proved their words untrue. Now when that checkered flag comes down, this one's made for you. Made for you. This one's made for you. You've made it through, and this one's made for you.
What's the piece de resistance? Well, it's got to be the soundtrack of motorcycle racing for many decades, that two-stroke scream. Let's just take in the incredible exhaust note from the Honda NSR500 for a few seconds. I'll go blank screen, so shut your eyes and revel in the sound that is just not experienced enough in this modern four-stroke racing world. You're more than welcome to go back and listen to that again and again. If you want to see this bike in real life, it's on display at the National Motor Racing Museum in Bathurst, Australia, and it's well worth a look. And big thanks to Brad and the team for allowing me to film there. And I'll do another video soon on some of these other bikes. This particular bike is owned by Wayne Gardner himself and is one of the, I presume, 2 bikes he raced in the 1987 season. And I suspect that it was part of his contract that if he won the championship, he would get to keep a bike. And now let's have a bit of a look of what Wayne saw from behind the screen.
You're on Wayne Gardner's bike as he pulls up onto pole position beside Kevin McGee on the front row.
You can see, there he is, Gardner. Malcolm Campbell on 3's just behind him. And Campbell will be a bit disappointed at his start. That's McElnay attacking Michael Dowson. Quite a number of them around the circuit as Dowson now being attacked by Gardner. And Gardner onto the straight they come.
Gardner alongside Dowson pulls in front of him.
As Gardner's bike bucks there, and we get on the back seat with him.
Now he's going to be closing right in on McElnay. McElnay has a look behind him, sees the Gardner's right there. Look at the speed of the wheels spinning, and the tough Surface Paradise track will be just shredding the rear rubber off the Dunlop tyre.
And now it's time to give it a review. Yep, that's hit the red line. Of course it was. There was no other score I could possibly give it. What a great bike from a great era, when I got to choose if I ruined my lungs by smoking. I got to choose if the bike I owned had too much power for its handling, and I got to choose whether I wanted to wear happy pants or not. A great time to be alive. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe or comment.